This is investment tanking, and this is the very underappreciated Tier 8 Japanese medium, the STA-2. Despite being breathtakingly beautiful and incredibly sexy, the STA-2 suffers a little bit of tragedy in relation to being overlooked when compared to its other Tier 8 medium brethren, like the speedy AMX CDC or the armoured as hell T-54 Mod 1. I think it's best we don't talk about the Panther 88. So why do people tend to not like the STA-2? Well, apart from being a bit of a knockoff of the STA-1, it's just a bit nondescript in most areas. The AMX CDC has no armour, but a very good gun and very good mobility. Now the STA-2, that has no armour, but an okay gun and not very impressive mobility. The T-54 Mod 1, that has a fairly meh gun, but amazing armour and poor mobility. This is just the middle ground between two tanks, with none of the strengths, and not particularly any weaknesses either. So why, oh why, would you ever want to buy this tank? Well, for a start, not very many people have it. Only noobs and very good people, which means you're going to have a lot of fun padding your stats in this tank. It is around 10 penetrating hits to get a Unicum rating. I don't want to lead off with that, but let's be honest, that is what most people care about nowadays. You also get an enormous amount of credits per game. Another testament to this tank's playability is its versatility. It is a true jack of all trades. It's a bit like the Patton in that respect, where it might not do anything amazingly, but it doesn't do anything badly either. The damage is on par with the other Tier 8 mediums, the penetration is a little bit better than some of the other premiums, but worse than the rest. It's just good middle ground. As average as this tank looks, it's actually got amazing soft stats. It has amazing gun dispersion on the move, amazing gun depression, a bit less than average gun elevation, and a brilliant reload time. If you use food, vents and rammer, you can get it to around 5.5 seconds. That leads to some enormous damage per minute. So now let's actually take a look at some of the numbers of this tank. Starting with the gun, you have an average damage of 240, which is on par with the rest of the mediums at this tier, with an average AP penetration of 185. The gold round is not good. It's unfortunately heat, which means you're going to struggle a lot in the higher tiers fighting IS-7s, but it has 275mm of penetration, which is more than enough to go through the front of any Jag Tigers, Jag Panzer E100s, or even E100's turret faces. I think the official reload time is something like 6.1 seconds, which I currently have mine of 5.98 or something, and if you use food that goes down to around 5.5 or maybe a bit more. That leaves for an amazing damage per minute, which is around more than 2,500. This just edges out the DPM of a CDC and obliterates a T-54 Mod 1. The dispersion on paper does not look too good with 0.37 meters at 100 meters. That's just a little bit better than the T-54 Mod 1's 0.38, but not quite as good as the 0.34 of the CDC. Although personally, I find I'm able to hit a lot more shots with snapshots in the STA-2 than I can with the CDC. This could either be down to having some brilliant soft stats, or the fact that you're not travelling at 60 km an hour when you're trying to take a shot. Either way, it is very good. The STA-2 also has a phenomenal traverse speed with 44 track traverse and 44 turret traverse. That is a just amazing 88 entire traverse if you're getting circled by a tank. You don't even have to worry if you're getting set up on by a scout. You can easily outturn them and just blast them away. The terrain resistance is also very good on this tank. It blows the CDC out of the water with 1 hard terrain resistance, 1.1 medium and a 2 soft. that even out-edges the Soviet hover tank T-54 Mod 1 in all areas apart from the soft terrain, where the T-54 only has 1.9. This makes the STA-2 similar in regards to British medium tanks and heavies, where it may not go anywhere quickly, having a top speed of only around 45 km an hour, but it goes everywhere constantly at 45 km an hour. It has a 14.71 horsepower per tonne ratio, but due to its low terrain resistance, it just goes. Wargaming helpfully noted that it may be a little mobility challenged, armour challenged and gun challenged, but they gave it a bit more hit points than all the others with 1420. That is the most I've seen so far out of the tier 8 medium premiums. Except the Super Pershing with 1500. I had to come and re-render the video just to say this. That lack of armour I keep harping on about isn't nearly as bad as the CDCs. You have 45 at the front, 35 at the side and 25 at the rear of the hull, with a full 70 at the front of the turret, 60 on the side and 35 at the rear. You also have a very good mantlet which can dodge a lot of shots and just absorb heat very easily. If you look to the turret, you will see a couple of large cupolas, but don't worry, with the rest of your tank being so weak, no one's going to bother shooting them. Another potential issue could be that you only have 50 rounds of ammunition. I tend to split it roughly 50-50 between gold and armour piercing, just for those unfortunate tier 10 games where you're pinned in by a load of heavy tanks, which happen entirely too often, as this tank does not get preferential matchmaking, it gets normal battle tiers 8 to 10. Fret not about tier 10 games, because this can still function exceedingly well in a support role. Sadly, my amazing replay was incompatible with this version of World of Tanks, but still, it can prove you can do a lot of damage and still earn nearly 80,000 credits in a tier 10 game. On a little bit of STA-2 related note, never undervalue the T button for requesting fire. It saves your life countless times. Thanks, Hummel! Overall, the STA-2 plays very similar to an STA-1, but with the middle gun. It has the same -10 gun depression with the same meh 13 gun elevation. But it is a good tank? Yes, it is very good for pubs, and it's just a good lot of fun to play. Is it worth having? The credits speak for themselves, they truly do in this tank. It's one to take out of the garage on a Sunday afternoon and just have some fun with. Other than that, spend more gold and keep tanking.